Man, my wife went and decided to try out some weird relationship tips for a whole week. By the fourth day, I'd caught on to her little scheme, and let me tell ya, my reaction wasn't what she was banking on. I'm gonna lay out exactly what went down and how I dealt with a woman who figured playing head games would somehow spice up our marriage. We've been hitched for 3 years now, not a fairy tale, but we've got a good thing going. We'd always chat about everything, swap stories about our day, and never hit the sack with bad vibes between us. She knew my whereabouts, I knew hers. It was straightforward, real, and it suited us just fine until last Monday morning when the whole dynamic flipped upside down out of nowhere. I rolled out of bed to see her getting dressed over in the corner, real quiet like. Normally, she'd drop a good morning kiss on me or at least toss out a few words. But nah, this time she just glanced my way and muttered, "Morning," in this cold, detached tone I ain't ever heard from her. No peck, no grin, zilch, just those 2 words before she went back to whatever she was fussing with. I figured she might be in a funk, so I tried to brighten things up a bit. I offered to whip up some coffee, asked if she'd slept okay, just the usual husband stuff. She just gave a half-hearted shrug and said she was okay. Okay. Every guy knows that word's a red flag, 'cause it never really means okay. What got me was how she was acting. Her stance was off, her whole vibe felt foreign, like she was playing a part in some play I didn't get the script for. She snatched up her purse and keys, then hesitated by the door as if she had something big to say. But all I got was, "Hope your day's good," before she walked out. I shot her a text around lunchtime to check in on how her day was shaping up. Usually, she'd hit me back within an hour, sometimes even quicker. This time, crickets for 4 straight hours. When she finally texted back, all I got was, "Busy day." No extra info, no cute little emoji, not even a question about how I was doing, just those 2 measly words. After work, I got home thinking she'd be there waiting. Nope, the house was dead empty. I dialed her number, and it went straight to voicemail. I sat around for an hour, then 2. Finally, around 8 p.m., she strolled in like everything was peachy. "Where've you been?" I asked, which I think is a fair thing to wonder when your wife vanishes without a heads up. "Just out," she replied, hanging her coat up, "had dinner with some buddies." "Which buddies?" I pushed a little. "You didn't say a word about plans this morning." She gave me this look like I was being a nag. "I don't gotta give you a play-by-play of my life. I'm allowed to do things on a whim." On a whim. My wife, who maps out our grocery shopping a week ahead and logs her gym time in her phone, is now all about spontaneity. "Sure. I'm not asking for a full report," I said, keeping my cool. "I'm asking, 'cause I got worried when you didn't show up or text back." I texted after 4 hours with a couple words, she fired back. Then came that same shrug from earlier, like she couldn't care less. I was tied up. Can't be glued to my phone every second. Talking to her felt like I was chatting with some stranger who just happened to look like my wife. Same face, totally different attitude. She used to give a damn if I was stressing over her. She used to get that keeping in touch isn't about keeping tabs, it's about showing respect. That night, she crashed without our normal wind down, no recap of our days, no hashing out tomorrow's plans, no cuddling up. She just brushed her teeth, climbed into bed, and turned her back to me. When I tried to drape an arm over her, she scooted away and grumbled something about being wiped out. I just lay there, eyes on the ceiling, racking my brain over what I'd messed up. Did I forget an anniversary, say something dumb, or miss some big talk we were supposed to have? I replayed the last week in my mind and came up with nothing. The next morning played out like a rerun of the weirdness, a half-hearted hello, some vague answers to my questions, and then she vanished again after work. This time, she didn't roll in until damn near 10 p.m. When I asked where she'd been, she casually mentioned getting her nails done and swinging by her sister's place. "Hold up, your sister's out of town this week," I pointed out. "She was posting vacation pics just yesterday." For a split second, she looked like a deer in headlights. Then she bounced back quick, saying, "Oh, I meant my friend. I always call her my sister. You know that. Thing is, I didn't know that 'cause it's straight up not true." Still, I didn't push it. I was trying to cut her some slack, figuring maybe work had her stressed, or she just needed a breather. Maybe this was some temporary funk that'd blow over soon. But by day 3, it hit me, this ain't no passing mood. This was on purpose. She was behaving like a total stranger, not the woman I know. And every time I tried to bring it up, she twisted it around to make me feel like I was being overbearing or losing my mind. The lady I married wouldn't stay out till 10 without giving me a heads up on her plans. She wouldn't spin lies about where she'd been, and she damn sure wouldn't make me feel like a nutcase for giving a crap about her well-being. Something was seriously off, and I was done acting like everything was fine and dandy. I made up my mind that tomorrow, we were gonna sit down and have a real, no BS talk about what the hell was happening to our marriage. Little did I know, by the next day, I'd have her little game all figured out, and she'd find out real quick that I don't mess around with trust in a relationship. Day 4 kicked off in a whole different way. I woke up to her practically plastered against me, her fingers running through my hair, whispering, "Morning, babe," like we were back on our honeymoon, a total 180 from the icy, standoffish woman of the last 3 days. She whipped up breakfast, asked about my work meetings, even packed my lunch with a sweet little note tucked inside. I should have felt good about it, but nah, I was more thrown off than ever. This wasn't her normal self either. It felt over the top, like she was putting on a show to make up for something. The same woman who'd been treating me like I barely existed was now acting like the most doting wife on the planet. "You're in a good mood today," I said, eyeing her as she bounced around the kitchen with way too much pep. "Can't a gal just be thrilled to see her man?" she shot back, planting a kiss on me that lingered a bit too long. The whole morning felt staged. Every move she made was exaggerated, every word dripped with too much sugar. She was trying so hard to seem loving that it came off as phony. Still, I went along with it, hoping maybe we were getting back on track. Then lunchtime rolled around. I sent her a quick text, "How's your day going?" and got squat in return, not after an hour, not after 2, not even after 3. The same woman who'd been all over me that morning was suddenly off the grid again. When I got home, there she was, parked on the couch, glued to her phone like it was her lifeline. I tossed out a, "Hey there," and she barely glanced up. Just a curt, "Hey," before her eyes went right back to the screen. "Everything all right?" I asked, plopping down beside her. "Yeah, why? You didn't answer my text from earlier." She finally looked at me, but with this irritated vibe instead of any kind of sorry. "I've been swamped. I can't live on my phone all day. This morning, you were packing my lunch and slipping in notes. Now you can't even look at me when I walk through the door. What's different?" "Nothing's different. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Making a big deal out of wanting some basic consistency from my own wife, for noticing she's flipping between hot and cold like a busted thermostat, for trying to wrap my head around why the woman who woke up all clingy turned completely detached by the afternoon." She went right back to her phone, and I just sat there, watching her swipe through social media for a solid 20 minutes without a break. Every once in a while, she'd crack a little smile at something on the screen, even let out a soft chuckle now and then. But when I tried to get a convo going, all I got were one-word grunts without her even glancing my way. Then, around 8 p.m., she just dropped her phone out of nowhere and flipped a switch again. She started flirting with me like the last few hours of ignoring me never happened, scooting closer on the couch, brushing my arm while she talked, asking if I wanted to kick back with a movie. The same woman who'd been giving me the cold shoulder for hours was now laying on the charm thick. "What's up with these wild mood changes?" I asked straight up. "What mood changes?" "I'm just unwinding after a long day. You've been like 3 different folks today, all over me this morning, ice cold this afternoon, and now you're trying to sweet talk me." She just laughed, like I was talking nonsense. You're reading way too much into this. Can't a lady just feel different things at different times? Different feelings? Sure, that's fair. But this wasn't just emotions shifting. This felt deliberate. It was like she had a playbook: act super lovey-dovey in the morning, ghost me during the day, then turn up the allure at night. It was too patterned, too planned out to be random. While we watched the movie, she kept sneaking peeks at her phone every few minutes, the screen lighting up her face as she scrolled through something. When I asked who she was messaging, she brushed it off as just social media, but I could see her typing, not just browsing. And she was grinning at whatever replies were coming in. Who you chatting with? I pressed again. Just talking to some pals. Which pals? Why's it gotta be a big deal? Man, you've been so clingy lately. Clingy for wondering who my wife's texting while we're supposed to be hanging out, for picking up on how her whole demeanor shifted these past few days, for expecting a straight answer about who she's talking to or where she's been. The next morning came with yet another drastic change. She was back to being all distant and cryptic. When I asked what she had lined up for the day, she mumbled something about maybe heading out later but couldn't say where. When I suggested grabbing dinner together, she said she already had stuff planned but wouldn't spill who with. You seeing somebody else? I asked point blank. She looked legit stunned. What? No way. How could you even think that? 'Cause you're acting like a total stranger. You're hiding stuff. You vanish without a word. You won't tell me who you're talking to or where you're at. I'm not hiding anything. I just don't feel like giving you a full rundown of my every move anymore. Since when? We've always shared what's going on in our days. Maybe I'm craving a little freedom. Maybe I don't want to feel like I need your okay to do my own thing. Freedom from her husband of 3 years who's never once tried to dictate her life or track her every step, from the guy who's always cheered on her friendships and backed her interests. All of a sudden, she needs freedom from basic chit-chat and common courtesy. That afternoon, I saw she'd posted a photo on social media. She was at some restaurant I'd never seen before, looking all happy and chill. The caption read, "Taking some me time," with a little wink emoji tacked on. She had the time to throw up a post online but couldn't bother replying to my text asking if she needed anything from the store. When she got home that night, I caught a whiff of cologne on her clothes, not my scent, something stronger, fancier. When I brought it up, she said she'd been around a bunch of folks and must have picked up random smells. Could be true, I guess, but with everything else piling up, it felt shady. We gotta talk, I said, dead serious. About what now? About whatever charade you're pulling, about why you're acting like being married to me is some kinda cage you gotta break outta. She plopped down with this heavy sigh, like I was wearing her out. There's no charade. Maybe you're just feeling uneasy about me having my own thing going on. Uneasy, man, that was the last straw. For wanting straight-up honesty from my wife, for craving some steadiness in our relationship, for seeing that the woman I tied the knot with had vanished and been swapped out for someone messing with my head. It hit me right then that this wasn't gonna fix itself. She wasn't just in a weird mood or wrestling with some stress. She was doing this on purpose. And every time I tried to talk it out, she flipped the script to make me look like the issue. Come tomorrow, I made up my mind to get to the bottom of this sudden shift in who she was, 'cause the woman I married didn't pull these mind tricks, and I sure as hell wasn't about to start putting up with them now. Things ramped up even more on day 5. She woke up acting like everything was fine, sat down for coffee with me, even chatted about what we might do over the weekend. But then, around noon, she shot me a text saying she couldn't make our dinner plans that night. Something popped up out of nowhere. When I asked what was up, she said it was messy and she'd fill me in later. Spoiler, she never did. Instead, she rolled in around midnight, reeking of booze and that same unfamiliar cologne again. When I asked where she'd been, she claimed she was out grabbing drinks with some folks from work. When I pressed for which folks, she tossed out a bunch of names I'd never heard in my life. In 3 years of being married, she'd maybe dropped 5 names of people from her office. Now, out of the blue, she's tight with a whole new crew I didn't even know existed. "Since when do you hit up bars with work buddies, till midnight?" I asked. "Since I figured I'd actually join in on office hangouts instead of racing home every night." "You've always hated those office get-togethers. You've called them shallow and a drag every time." "Well, folks evolve. Maybe I'm trying to be more outgoing." "Sure, people grow, but not in a single night, not from someone who loved cozy nights into someone staying out till midnight with shadowy coworkers. The woman I married cherished our time together. She would have asked me to tag along or at least given me the real scoop on her plans. The next day, she didn't answer a single one of my texts, total silence from 9 a.m. until she strolled through the door at 11 p.m. I even called her office, and they said she'd clocked out at 5:30 like always. So, where the heck was she for over 5 hours? "I went shopping and then grabbed a bite," she said when I brought it up. "For 5 whole hours. I bumped into an old buddy, and we got to reminiscing." "Which buddy?" "You wouldn't know him." "Him." She spent 5 hours with some guy I'd never met or even heard of, a guy she labeled an old buddy but never once mentioned in 3 years of marriage, a guy she just randomly ran into while shopping and decided to spend the whole evening with. "What's his name?" I pushed. "Why's that gotta matter? You don't know him anyhow." "It matters, 'cause my wife spent 5 hours with another dude and won't even tell me who he is. His name's Mark, just a friend from college. We were swapping stories from back in the day." Mark from college. In 3 years, she'd never breathed a word about any Mark from college. I knew her college crew, had met most of them at our wedding or other hangouts. Mark never once came up, but now he's important enough to ditch coming home to her husband for 5 hours. "Kinda odd you've never brought up this Mark before," I said. "I don't list out every single person I've ever crossed paths with. That'd be a chore. You mention the ones who are worth spending whole evenings with." She rolled her eyes like I was being a pain. "You're getting all worked up over nothing again." It was just food and talk. Worked up, her go-to jab whenever I questioned what she was up to. Asking where my wife was for 5 hours was me being worked up. Wanting to know who she was with was me being worked up. Expecting simple communication was me being worked up, the same weird routine carried on the next day. She headed off to work acting like everything was fine, then pulled her disappearing act again after 5 p.m. This time, she rolled in at 10 p.m. with shopping bags from high-end stores we definitely couldn't swing. When I asked how much she dropped, she snapped that it was her cash and she could spend it however she damn well pleased. "We've always shared our money," I reminded her. "We talk over big spends together. These ain't big spends, just some outfits and makeup." I peeked into the bags while she was in the shower, $300 worth of fancy designer clothes and cosmetics, stuff she'd never splurged on before, brands she'd never even glanced at. And it was all the kind of stuff meant to turn heads, plunging necklines, skin-tight dresses, pricey perfume. "Who you getting all dolled up for?" I asked when she stepped out of the bathroom. "For me. Am I not allowed to do that? You've never been into designer stuff before now. Maybe I'm sick of looking plain. Maybe I want to feel hot. You've always been gorgeous, and you've never been dull to me. To you, sure. But I want to feel hot to everybody. To everybody, not just her husband, but to every random person out there." She was using our money to catch the eye of other guys. The woman I married wanted to look good for me. Now, she seemed more worried about what strangers thought of her. That weekend, she set up plans without even looping me in. She announced she was heading out with friends and wouldn't be back till late. When I asked if I could tag along, she shut it down, saying it was a girls-only thing. When I pressed for which friends, she dodged with hazy answers about folks from work and college. She left the house looking like she was hitting a club, not just chilling with girlfriends, tight dress, full-on makeup, that expensive perfume wafting behind her. She looked stunning, no doubt, but not for my benefit, for whoever she was actually meeting up with. She stumbled in at 2 a.m., tipsy and giggling like a teenager. When I asked how her night went, she gushed that it was incredible, that she had a blast. She rambled about dancing, cracking up, and feeling so free. Not once did she mention any specific pals or what they even did together. You seem like a different person when you go out, I pointed out. Different in what way? Lighter, more energized, like you're running from something. Maybe I am running. Running from what? She waved her hand around, taking in our house, our shared life. This. The same old grind, the predictability, the same tired talks day after day. She was running from our marriage. The life we'd carved out together had turned into something she needed to break away from. The home we'd made, the patterns we'd settled into, the bond we'd grown over 3 years, it was all a cage now, one she escaped through late-night outings with shadowy friends. If you're not happy, we need to hash this out, I said. I'm not saying I'm miserable. I'm just figuring out who I am beyond just being your wife. Beyond being my wife, like being married to me was somehow boxing her in, like our relationship was dragging her down from being her real self. The woman I married never felt trapped by what we had. She felt backed up, cherished, and free to be exactly who she was with me. Are you putting me through some kind of test? I asked flat out. She looked caught off guard by that. A test? What do you mean? All this stuff, the secret plans, staying out, till all hours, the new wardrobe, the hot and cold attitude. Are you checking how much I'll put up with? Why on earth would I test you? I don't know, but this ain't how you normally act. Everything seems so planned out, like you're working off some kind of playbook. She let out a laugh, but it felt fake as hell. You think I've got a playbook? That's nuts. Then break it down for me. Tell me why my wife of 3 years suddenly needs to ditch our marriage and hang out non-stop with people I've never even heard of. Maybe you don't know me as well as you figured. Maybe I didn't, but I knew the woman I married, and this sure as hell wasn't her. The woman I said, I do, to didn't mess around with head games, hide stuff, or make her husband feel like an outsider in his own damn marriage. Whatever was going on here, it was heading straight for a showdown. And tomorrow, I was determined to get some straight-up answers. Day 7 was when the whole mess blew wide open. She took forever getting ready that morning, swapping outfits like a runway model and redoing her makeup twice over. When I asked where she was off to, she fed me the same old line about running errands and maybe catching up with friends later, the vague nonsense she'd been dishing out all week. But this time, I zeroed in on the little things. She was rocking her best dress, the one she usually saved for big events. Her makeup was on point, like she was headed somewhere that mattered. She doused herself in that fancy perfume she'd just bought. This wasn't a woman popping out for errands, this was a woman prepping for a date. You're looking real sharp, I said, fishing for a reaction. Thanks, she tossed back, giving herself one last once-over in the mirror. Got a big event or something? Nah, just felt like dressing up today. She grabbed her purse and keys, then did that dramatic pause at the door she'd been pulling lately, like she was waiting for me to plead with her to stay or grill her with more questions. When I didn't bite, she just muttered a goodbye and walked out. About an hour later, I saw she'd posted a photo on Instagram. She was at some ritzy downtown restaurant, sitting at a table by herself with 2 wine glasses set out. The caption read, "Feeling a bit mysterious today," with a little wink emoji thrown in. 2 glasses meant she wasn't solo, but she'd conveniently cropped out whoever was across from her. I dialed her number, straight to voicemail. I shot her a text asking who she was lunching with, dead silence. I waited 2 hours and tried again, still nada. By 5 p.m. she dropped another pic. This time, she was at a park I knew well, but not by herself. The shot showed her hand locked with someone else's, though the other person was cut out of frame, just two hands linked together with the caption, "Sometimes you gotta live a little." My wife was posting pics of herself holding hands with somebody else. Not only was she stepping out on me, but she was broadcasting it on social media for the whole world to see, everyone but me, apparently, since she couldn't be bothered to pick up my calls or reply to my texts. She didn't get home till midnight, and this time the cologne on her was so strong it hit me like a wall. She'd been up close with someone for hours, and it damn sure wasn't me. Her makeup was smeared, her hair all tousled, and she had that smug, content look of someone who'd spent the day being fawned over by another guy. "How'd your day go?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "Pretty good. Nice and chill." "Chill? You were gone for 15 hours. Time slips away when you're enjoying yourself." "Enjoying yourself with who?" "Just some friends." "Which friends?" "The ones you were holding hands with in that Instagram post." For the first time all week, she looked genuinely rattled. That cocky front of hers slipped for a split second before she pulled it back together. "It was just a silly photo," she said. "Silly with who? Why's it gotta be a big deal?" "It's a big deal, 'cause my wife posted a picture holding hands with another man." "That's a pretty damn big deal. You're blowing this out of proportion again." "Am I?" "'Cause from where I'm standing, my wife's been lying to me all week, staying out till midnight, posting shady pics with other guys, and acting like I'm nuts for asking the simplest questions." She flopped onto the couch with a heavy sigh, like this talk was draining the life out of her. "You're overreacting. I can't live my life with you dissecting every photo I put up." "I'm not dissecting every photo. I'm asking about the photo where you're holding hands with someone who ain't your husband." "It didn't mean anything," she shot back. "Ain't nothing about how you've acted this week been innocent." She gave me this cocky little smirk, like she was in on some secret I hadn't cracked yet. "Maybe you oughta just chill out and quit trying to run everything." "Run everything? I ain't tried to run a damn thing. I've just been asking questions, and somehow that makes me the bad guy in her eyes. You wanna know where I'm at every minute, who I'm hanging with, what I'm up to. That's running things. I just want the basic back and forth with my wife, the same kinda talk we've had for 3 years until this week when you flipped into a whole different person." She got up and started heading for the bedroom, clearly over this convo. But I wasn't anywhere near done. "You stepping out on me?" I asked straight up. She stopped dead in her tracks and spun around. "No, I ain't stepping out on nobody." "Then what the hell is all this? What's with the sneaking around, the lies, the late nights?" "I ain't lying about a thing. You said you were with your sister when she was out of town. You claimed you were running errands when you were at fancy restaurants with other guys. You say you're with girlfriends, but then post pics holding hands with somebody else. Every word out of your mouth this week has been a lie." She came back toward me with this odd grin, like she was getting a kick out of this whole showdown. "You wanna know what's really happening here?" she teased. "Yeah, I wanna know what's really happening. Why don't you take a stab at it? Keep you guessing." Guessing. She actually wanted me to play a guessing game about whatever stunt she was pulling. She was flat out admitting this was some kinda test or weird experiment, expecting me to piece it together like it was a riddle she cooked up for her own amusement. "You want me to take a stab at it?" I said, staring at her cool as can be. "Go on, give it a shot." She was so damn sure of herself, so pleased, like she'd masterminded this whole week flawlessly and was about to unveil her grand plan. She had no clue she was in for a reaction she didn't see coming. "All right," I said, "let me take a crack at it." That grin on her face said it all. She thought she was coming out on top in whatever game this was. She figured I'd go along with whatever messed up relationship trick she'd picked up. She probably thought I'd be wowed by her cleverness or thankful for the drama she'd injected into our marriage. She didn't have the faintest idea that the next few minutes were gonna go way off her script. Fine, I said, locking eyes with her. I'm guessing you've been messing with my head all week, thinking it'd make me chase after you more. Her smirk slipped a bit, but she tried to hold that confident stance. I'm guessing you stumbled on some dumb article or video about keeping a guy on edge and decided to try every toxic tip they threw out there. Now her expression was shifting. That smug look was fading, replaced by shock that I was putting the pieces together so fast. I'm guessing you figured acting all unpredictable and sketchy makes you seem intriguing and sexy instead of just plain dishonest and sneaky. She opened her mouth to cut in, but I wasn't done yet. I'm guessing you've been putting me through the ringer all week to see how much crap and lies I'd swallow before I finally lost it. How did you? She started, then stopped herself short. How'd I figure it out? 'Cause I ain't an idiot. The overnight personality switch, the perfectly timed hot and cold act, the cryptic social media posts, the made-up stories about where you've been, it's straight out of the playbook for manipulation, dressed up as keeping things spicy. She sank down onto the couch real slow, all that confidence wiped clean off her face. It wasn't meant to be manipulation, she said quietly. Then what was it supposed to be? I came across this article talking about how couples fall into slumps, and how women gotta keep some mystery to hold their guys' attention. It claimed guys get tired when everything's too routine. So, you figured lying to me for a whole week was the fix. I wasn't exactly lying. I just wasn't spilling every detail. You told me you were with your sister when she wasn't even in town. You said you were out on errands while you were dining with other guys. You posted pics holding hands with someone else. What's that if not lying? She stared down at her hands, avoiding my gaze. I was trying to make you value what you've got by acting like I might slip away. By making it look like you were stepping out on me. I wasn't stepping out. Those pics were with my friend Nicole. We thought it'd be a laugh to make it seem all cryptic. Nicole, who you've never brought up before this week. She's new at the office. She's the one who pointed me to that article. So, there it was, laid bare. Some lady at her job had pumped her full of lousy relationship tips. And my wife decided to turn our marriage into a guinea pig without even giving me a heads up. She spent a whole week making me doubt every part of our bond just 'cause a coworker said it'd spice things up. Wanna hear my last guess? I asked. She looked up, her eyes full of unease. What? I'm guessing this marriage is done. Those words slammed into her like a punch. She shot up, shaking her head fast. What? No, I was just trying to keep things lively. The article swore guys crave mystery, that wives gotta mix things up or their husbands will check out. Well, mission accomplished. I'm thrilled at the idea of being on my own again. You can't mean that. I was trying to make our marriage better. You were trying to play me. There's a world of difference. But that piece said guys get bored with women who are too predictable. It told me I had to stir up some doubt to keep the spark alive. I like doubt in a thriller flick, not in my marriage. I need truth from my partner, not head games. She started pacing back and forth, panic creeping in. I was trying to make you see my worth, to show you what you might lose. Well, you nailed it. I saw what I could lose, a wife who feeds me lies, vanishes without a word, and pulls mind tricks 'cause some random internet post told her to. Plenty of women do this stuff. It's standard relationship advice. Great. Go find a guy who's into that. I'd rather be with someone who doesn't need to toy with me to feel wanted. She sank back down, tears welling up in her eyes. So, you're really walking away 'cause I tried to be more captivating? I'm walking away 'cause you became less honest. Captivating doesn't mean deceitful. I can quit this. I can go back to how things were. How things were doesn't include me wondering if my wife's lying or messing with my head. That train's left the station. Please. It was just 1 week. One dumb screw-up. 1 week of deception, manipulation, and making me feel like I'm losing it for asking the simplest stuff. 1 week of you treating our marriage like a science project. Now she was full on crying, the weight of it all finally crashing down on her. I thought you'd get a kick out of it. I got worn out by it. And I'm done being drained by someone I'm supposed to rely on. She sat there sobbing for a good few minutes while I just watched. A piece of me felt lousy seeing her so torn up, but a bigger piece was pissed that it took the threat of splitting up for her to show real feelings instead of that calculated nonsense. I didn't get how much this would mess with you, she mumbled through her tears. I thought guys liked the pursuit. I liked the woman I married. I didn't need to pursue her, 'cause I already had her. That article made it seem like marriages fizzle out when women are too easy to read, too steady. Our marriage was fizzling this week when my wife turned into a stranger who lied to me every single day. She wiped the tears from her eyes and stared at me with a desperate look. What if I swear I'll never pull anything like this again? Your word doesn't carry much weight right now. You swore to love and respect me when we tied the knot, but this week you chose to mess with my head and lie to me instead. That's not right. I was trying to protect our marriage, not wreck it. By making me second-guess every damn thing about us, by acting like being married to me was some kind of cage you had to break out of. She got up and started pacing again, scrambling for the right thing to say. I get now that it was a huge mistake. I see how bad I've hurt you, but please don't toss out 3 years over one awful week. I ain't tossing out anything. You already trashed it when you turned our marriage into some kinda twisted game. Everybody screws up. You've screwed up before too. I've never flat out lied to you for 7 days straight. I've never made you feel like you're losing your mind or wondering if your spouse is stepping out. She dropped back onto the couch, her sobs getting heavier. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. There's nothing left to patch up. The trust is gone. We can build it back up. Not with someone who thinks playing mind games is a legit way to fix a relationship. We sat there in dead silence for a stretch. She wept softly while I mulled over 3 years of marriage that got torn apart in just a week, 3 years of creating something solid and true, all wrecked, 'cause she wanted to dabble in psychological stunts. Can I ask you something? She finally mumbled. What? Did you really think I was cheating on you? Yeah, I did. The secretive plans, staying out till midnight, posting pics with other guys, coming home reeking of cologne, what the hell was I supposed to think? I never stopped to consider how it looked from your side, 'cause I was too caught up following that stupid script to think about how my husband might feel. She went quiet for a long beat. That article claimed, guys don't value what they've got, till they think it might slip away. Well, you got one thing right. I didn't realize what I had. She glanced up, a flicker of hope in her eyes. You mean, I didn't realize how much peace and trust mattered to me until you ripped them away. Her face crumpled again. So that's it. You won't even try to sort this out with me. I looked at this woman I'd loved for 3 years, the woman who'd shared my home, my hopes, my whole life, the woman who'd thrown it all in the trash 'cause someone sold her on the idea that lying was thrilling. You want to hear the real deal? I said. I love you, but I don't trust you. And I can't stay married to someone I don't trust. But if you love me, love ain't enough when the whole foundation's cracked. She sat there, looking completely broken, finally grasping that her week of head games had cost her everything she'd been trying to hold on to. Is there anything I can do? She murmured, barely above a whisper. I mulled it over for a long, heavy moment. One shot, one last shot, but it comes with strict rules. Her head jerked up, eyes wide with hope. Anything. No more messing around, ever. No more lies, not even the tiny ones. No more shady behavior or testing how I'll react. Total, no exceptions honesty about everything. Yes, of course, I promise. And no more taking relationship tips from random articles or sketchy friends. I'm done with that, I swear. One slip up and that's it. No do-overs, no excuses, no trying to patch things up. If I catch even a hint of you playing games again, I'm out for good. She nodded like her life depended on it. I get it, I really do. Do you? 'Cause this week nearly broke me. I felt like I was losing my mind, doubting every single thing about us. I know. I'm so sorry. I'll never put you through anything like that again. She flung her arms around me, clinging tight like she couldn't let go. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe she finally got that real relationships are built on trust, not cheap tricks. As she sobbed into my shoulder, I thought to myself, she wanted to keep me on edge, always guessing. My guess? I deserve way better than mind games. And now, she knows it too. Well, that's the end of our story. If you've stuck with me all the way to this point, how about giving our channel a subscribe? It means the world to us. I've picked out a couple of other videos I think you'll really dig. Go ahead and check them out if you're up for it. I'll be right here waiting for you in the next tale. Catch you soon.